to the In Her Scaling podcast. My name is Maria and I'm coming to you from the northeastern part of Italy. I feel a bit frazzled already. I have a very busy but very exciting week. So I thought I would share everything with you. So first off, we have a pattern release. Then we have a testnet call for this little top that I'm wearing. And then I also have another pattern release that is going to be published in a magazine that's coming at the end of the week. And many more things to share. I just got back from my honeymoon trip to Japan and Bali, and I brought a few yarny souvenirs and other types of souvenirs that I'll try to share with you towards the end. So yeah, let's get started. So the pattern release that we have, sorry, I kicked the tripod already, it's going well. For the pattern release that we have today is the Fiorita Socks. So it's these socks. The other one is behind me here. It's made using Estonian inlay. So basically you are knitting the sock with the main color, and the flower motif at the front here along the leg and the foot is worked with the Estonian inlay technique, for which I have a tutorial here on YouTube. And so you're basically using your contrast color to create little floats at the front of the work like that. And I think it's very fun to work. And yeah, I can see this in many different color combinations. But if you don't know which color combination to choose, Lorna of Thread and Yarn will have some kits available for this pattern. So in her kits there will be the yarn, so you will have the main color here, you will have a mini to make the inlay, and there's some stitch markers also that will be available, and they're very, very nice. They're made with dried flowers. I'll put a picture here. They are very nice. And yeah, so the pattern will be included in those boxes. And yeah, I do think though that because she is based in the UK, I think that because of the new laws, like European laws, it's more difficult for small business owners now to ship to Europe. So she may not be shipping to Europe. I should double check that with her, but I think last we spoke, she said she would not be shipping to Europe because it's just too difficult because of those new laws, which is quite sad. But I think if you're outside of Europe, you should be able to purchase one of those kits if you want. And the pattern will be available separately also on Ravelry if you prefer to just buy the pattern and use your own yarn. So yeah, the pattern, so the cuff is a folded picot cuff like this. Then we work the leg. The heel is just a regular slip stitch heel flap and gusset. And then we have an anatomical toe. So both toes are mirrored to really embrace the shape of your toes. If you have toes shaped like me, I guess, because I don't think it will be a perfect fit for everyone, but for me it fits very well. And I think that for the testers who also did the anatomical toe, from the feedback that I got, it looks like it was fitting them well too. So yeah, there will also be a discount for the launch of the pattern. And as I'm filming this, the pattern is not out yet, but it will be by the time the episode comes out. So I'll put all the info that you need, I guess, on the screen or in the description box below. And yeah, so these are the Fiorita Socks. And I think that was it about those. So I guess we can move on to this top. that I'm still unsure on the name. But by the time you see this, there will be already a testnet call on my Instagram, but also on the YouTube community page, so the name will be there. I still don't know, but it will be decided by the time you see this. And so this top is made with the Knitting for Olive Pure Silk. So this yarn is going to not want to focus. But I think everyone, or almost everyone, is familiar with this yarn. I think it's my favorite summer yarn. I know that some people really don't like it, but I really like it. It is worked on smaller needles. So for this top I use 3mm needles, and I reached the gauge that is on the ball band, so it's 28 stitches per 10 centimeter. So if you like to work a very lightweight top at a smaller gauge for the summer, I think this is very fun. It's basically a pretty simple tank top. So if I put the ruffle out of the way like this for a minute, you'll see that it's just a pretty simple tank top all over, where you have I-cord finishing at the neckline, the armholes, and also at the bottom, that I'll show you maybe in a sec after I finish talking about the rest. And as you knit, you make this eyelet column on both sides like this, and this serves kind of as a guide to pick up stitches to create this ruffle at the end. So this is what the ruffle looks like. Because I knit it in silk, it has a lot of drape, so it kind of sits like this. Has a lot of movement. It doesn't have too much volume, but I think that if you were to make this top, let's say in a linen yarn, it may give you even more volume here, so the frill might stand up a bit more. Yeah, I'm curious to see if some people will use that type of yarn to see what kind of effect it will give. But yeah, so with the pure silk, it has a lot of drape, and yeah, so the top portion is worked back and forth until you join under the arms, and then you knit in the round. And the ruffles are worked flat, so back and forth, using some short row shaping, and then there is a fun little edge like this that looks, I was wanting it to look at least like crochet. This is what it looks like. So yeah, I really like all the little tiny details on this one. And so I'll stand up, or I may film some other b-roll to put here to show you totally what it looks like. And also right now I'm wearing it tucked in a skirt, but yeah, you don't need to wear it tucked in, but basically the shoulder ruffle ends kind of at the waistline, so I think it does look nice wearing it with something that cinches in on top, but I think it also looks nice if you're wearing it with, for example, a pair of jeans not tucked in. So yeah, I feel like I flew by talking about that, but yeah, so there will be a testnet call that will already be live by the time this video comes out, but I am planning to start the test closer to the end of this week, so Thursday or Friday, and typically it's quite difficult to find testers for the smaller end of the size range and the other end of the size range. So if you are interested, you can check out the link in the description box, but it may be the case that some sizes are already filled. Wait, so if you're interested, you can check out the link. The next thing is the Orma Cardigan, or Orma. Orma in Italian means footsteps. And basically I saw the Laine submission call it was over a year ago now. They put out submission calls for their magazines twice a year, I think. I think they do one submission call for designs for their spring and summer issues and one for their fall and winter issues. So over a year ago, I remember I was sick. I think I don't know exactly what I had, but I was coughing for months. So I was really not feeling well. So I was browsing on the internet a lot, I guess. And so when I saw this submission call and was kind of out of commission to do anything else, I felt very inspired by the mood board that they put out, and I just started swatching. And I thought, if I come out with something that is interesting, maybe I'll send a submission. But yeah, I started doing that without really thinking that it would lead to anything. And at first I was swatching for socks because at that point I had only published one pattern. But I thought, you know what, let's try. So I started swatching, and with the mood board that they put out, it was very much like obviously summer inspired, very like beach-like with some umbrellas with crochet details, baskets and all this stuff. And yeah, I just felt very inspired, so I wanted to create a fabric that looked kind of like a woven basket. And so I started to swatch, and at the end I liked the stitch pattern that I came up with, but I thought it looked kind of strange at a smaller gauge for a sock. And also, I'll show you the swatch. So this is the swatch. Also, when I was swatching, because sometimes I swatch in the round, sometimes I swatch back and forth. This one I decided to swatch back and forth, and I realized that with the stitch pattern, so it's a 6-row repeat and a 6 stitch repeat. And I think that 2 out of the 6 rows are purl rows, but they are worked on the wrong side, so you actually knit them across. So I thought, that would be a fun stitch pattern for a cardigan, because a lot of people don't like to purl too much when working a cardigan back and forth. So if on 2 of those 6 rows you are just knitting across, maybe that can be fun. So I decided to do my submission call with this swatch and to propose a cardigan. And to my biggest surprise, the people at Laine magazine liked my swatch and they picked my design. So then I started the process of designing a cardigan, and it was my first garment design, and I think at that point probably my 3rd design overall, so it was a bit intense. But I learned a lot very fast, and I'm super grateful for the opportunity. But yeah, I won't lie that at a few points in the process I was telling myself, why did they trust me with this? But in the end I managed to do it. I think that because when they pick your design, then you need to sign a contract that you're going to provide a pattern for them. And I think that if I was not under contract for that, I think this cardigan would never have seen the light of day. But I am very proud of myself that I persisted and I pushed forward. And yeah, so I'm only showing you the swatch now because the cardigan is currently on its way back from Finland to me, and I haven't received it yet, so I'll show that to you probably next time. But yeah, so I'll try to go from memory. Also because I knit that sample last summer, so it's a bit far in my mind. But it's essentially an oversized and quite cropped cardigan with long sleeves that are very wide. And my idea was to have a garment that would be easy to just like take with you everywhere you go. So Orma in Italian means footsteps. Sorry, my camera cut me off. I was saying that when I was writing my proposal, I think I wrote that for me, like the Orma Cardigan was a tribute to the journeys woven by our wandering footsteps. So basically taking the woven aspect of like a basket, which I think this looks a little bit like a woven basket. And yeah, the footsteps aspect is more related to like summer adventures for me. For me, like when I think of summer and going out on adventures, I'm always accompanied by a cardigan. So that was kind of the idea behind the cardigan, something that I can just throw on a summer dress, for example, or like they had in their photo shoot for the magazine, the model is wearing it over a pair of shorts. So yeah, something just like very easy, very oversized. And so it's a round neck cardigan, and the ribbing at the neckline, the button band, the cuffs and the hem is quite wide or long, depending which way you're looking at it. And it's a 3x3 rib. And I must admit, I don't remember the gauge on top of my head, but it's knit, I'm pretty sure, on 3mm needles, if I remember correctly. So it's a pretty small gauge, but I think it's quite enjoyable to knit. I think that from also the tester feedback that I got, I think that the yoke portion is maybe a bit more complicated. You do need to be quite focused when knitting it. But I think that once you do the portion of the body that you just work straight, I think it's quite easy to remember the stitch pattern. But again, that might just be me. But yeah, so it's work at a pretty small gauge. But I guess I don't mind working at a small gauge. But if you don't like to work at a small gauge, I don't know if I would recommend this pattern, honestly, because it's a lot of work. It's completely in lace. But all that to say that I really enjoy this type of stitch pattern, even on a smaller yarn. So the yarn that I use is the Sauna by Wool Dreamers, and it's a mix of wool and cotton. And I've never felt something quite like it, especially with the cotton content. Like, it's a very, very bouncy yarn, and I think it's beautiful. It doesn't come in a lot of colors, but the color range is very natural and pretty. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed working with this yarn. It's also very, very soft and not too warm. In my mind, it was more a spring cardigan, but they put it in the summer issue. But yeah, for me, in my climate, where I live in the northern part of Italy, it's probably a bit too warm for the summer. Although I would probably still bring it with me on my little adventures in the summer, on my road trips, in case it gets a bit chillier. Especially if we go up north in the mountains, it does tend to get chillier, so yeah. The issue is already available for pre-order, but it's coming out this Friday. And there's also obviously other patterns in the magazine. I think they all look really nice, and I can't wait to get my copy in the mail. There's another cardigan that I think is made in mohair, silk mohair, that I would like to make. There's also a very nice shawl, t-shirts. Yeah, I think they're all very pretty, so I can't wait to like physically flip through the magazine. And yeah, I would like to also thank the test knitters, because they all did a wonderful job, and I'll put some of their pictures here, and hopefully, yeah, I'll also post them on Instagram if you follow me there. Okay, so moving on. The other, I guess this was the finished object section. The other thing that I worked on and finished while I was away is this I-cord. It's not super exciting, but basically when we went to Japan, I bought some cotton yarn. And then when we arrived in Bali, I don't know how we pronounce it in English. I've been saying Bali. I don't know. In Indonesia, it was very, very, very warm. And I will show you in a sec what I've been working on, another project that I've been working on that is in wool, and it was just too warm to work on it. Also, I didn't have a lot of hair accessories with me, and with my long hair, when it gets warm, I like to put it out because I just can't deal very well with the heat. So I decided to whip up this I-cord because I was on Pinterest and I was looking at a lot of hairstyles, and you know, you look at one and then you get recommended 1,000 more, and I got recommended a lot of them that were using ribbons to do cute hairstyles. And so I thought it would be nice to actually make an I-cord. So my initial plan was just to make a plain I-cord, but as you can see, maybe here there's a little edge on my I-cord, and it's essentially the same like bind off edge that I have on this top. And yeah, so I made an I-cord this long. I'm thinking of writing a free pattern for this, so if you're interested, let me know. I don't know if it's something that is too simple, but I mean, if it's a free pattern, I think you can't go wrong. But yeah, basically I made an I-cord this long. This is 3-stitch I-cord using this yarn that I bought in Japan. It's the Daruma knitting cotton. So it's just a 100% cotton yarn. It is 100 meters for 50 grams. So it's like a DK cotton. And I think I used smaller needles than recommended. Yeah, in Japan they have a different needle size. Like it goes from like 3mm to 3.3 to 3.6, 3.9, I think. I forget the name of that system. Like we have the metric system, the imperial, and then there is the Japanese that I'm sure has a more sophisticated name, but I forget. Anywho, they recommend 3.9 to 4.5mm needles, and I think I used 3.5mm needles that I had with me and cast on a 3-stitch I-cord that I worked like this. And then after I came to pick up, it's basically you're picking up 1 stitch every other row or round. And then I worked my little edge like this that I'll explain if I write this pattern. But yeah, so I have a picture of me wearing it when I was in Bali, and it was quite useful. So yeah, that is my other FO. And then the other project that I was working on while we were in Japan that I couldn't work on after because it was way too warm in Bali is this vest. So it's not done. It is basically a bib right now. Is that how we call that? Like a dicky type of thing. I'll put it on just to show you. Basically, I had this idea because I wanted to make something that has these little, it's not technically, well, it looks a bit scalloped, I think. Yeah, it does. And it's like a modified picot edge essentially. So I had this idea of making a vest like this that has, it looks a bit strange with the shoulder ruffle under, but it has on the sides here this little scalloped-y edge. And because of the way that I saw it in my mind, I saw like a pretty low armhole. I don't know how to explain my thought process behind this, but I thought if I'm doing like this edge here all along, then I might as well make this a sideways top. So that's what it is. I don't know if you can tell from there, but the stitches go this way instead of this way. So basically you cast on here your stitches, so all of this, the front and the back at the same time, and then you work back and forth while creating some shoulder increases. So this will help to create a little slope like this so that it sits nicely on your shoulder. And then after that is done, we bind off some stitches here, and then I can't remember if I worked, yeah, I think I worked the front first. So the front is then, I don't know how to hold this to show you. The front is then worked back and forth like this while creating some decreases here at the neckline, and then we work straight and then increases until we arrive here, and then separately the back is then worked with the same concept to shape a bit the neckline at the back. And then we work the second shoulder. This is the first shoulder, this is the second shoulder, with this time some decreases. So increases here, decreases there, to again shape the shoulder. And then we finish again with the scallopy edge. And then the plan is to come here. So this is going to be the underarm area. So the plan is to come and pick up stitches here and then work, yeah, decreases here, straight, then increases to shape the armhole. Do the same thing on the other side, and that's it. So it was quite fun to do the math for this one because I never made something like a sideway sweater. I don't know how you, I think they call it like a sleeve to sleeve or cuff to cuff maybe, something like that. I've never made that type of construction, so it was quite fun to like work out how to do it because I'm so used to do, you know, like when you work a typical sweater, you'll work the back and then you attach the front, this front, and you join, blah blah. So it was yeah, a lot of mental gymnastics to figure out how to make this happen, but I really enjoyed it. And I think I only had to frog 2 times, 2 little sections, and I think it was just because, again, because you're like when you're working in a neckline like this one, for example, typically like you increase here, and because your stitches are like this and your rows are like that, then you have like a, if you do a 1-1, like if you increase 1 stitch every other row, then you have like this type of slope. But when your stitches are like that and your rows are like this, then it means that the slope is a bit different. And so I didn't take that into account at first, and it basically made like a strange slope here. So I had to rethink it a little bit, so I did, it's just basically like a different rate of increase, so it's like fast and then slow, or slow and then fast, I don't remember, but I did write it down. So this is probably going to be my next garment design, and at first I wanted to make this into a summer top because I had a linen yarn. But then I thought, because it's worked sideways, I was scared that with the linen and like a more open gauge that it would kind of like lose its shape. Because if your fabric is, because your stitches go like this, right? So they are vertical. So when you work something sideways, the stitches then are like this. And I was scared that with the weight of the garment, it would like you see how it like pulls it down. But because this is wool, it's like bouncing back up. I was scared that with linen or, you know, like a cotton, for example, like all the summery fibers, or even like alpaca, I would not recommend for something like this, because I think that with the weight of the garment, you would like, it would droop a bit too much like this, and you may end up with a garment that is kind of like shapeless. I don't know how to describe it accurately, but I think you know what I mean. So I opted to do this sample in wool. So this is the Brusca by Rosa Pomar. And I really like the color. You probably have noticed already that the light is changing here, so sometimes I look very pink and others I don't. So I think that in this lighting currently it looks very, very orange. I don't know, it's like more saturated here than it is in real life, but I really like this color. It's very beautiful. This is the C582. And yeah, so this yarn is 50% Solaya and 50% Merino. So Solaya must be another Portuguese breed. I really like this brand. They use mostly Portuguese breeds, and most of them I think are like endangered, so they are trying to save these breeds, and I think it's a beautiful thing. And yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a woolen spun yarn, so it makes it like quite bouncy and very lightweight, which is another great quality for a garment like this. And yeah, so I don't know yet if I'll make a summer version. I think I would need to find the perfect yarn, or I think what I could do also is find a yarn that I can knit at this gauge, but like a yarn that would normally require bigger needles. I would work it with smaller needles to make like a denser fabric so that it's not too droopy. I don't know if that makes sense, but let's see. And for this version, I'm planning to just pick up the stitches around the neckline and do again the same finish here, but you could also do ribbing. And at the bottom, I think I'll try this with a few different pieces in my wardrobe and decide if I want this to be worn over dresses and skirts, or if I want to wear it with pants, because right now it's hitting me like right at my waistline. So if I want to wear it with dresses and skirts, I could add just again another edge like this, and it would arrive at the waistline, which is perfect. But if I want to wear it with pants, and depending on what I want to wear under, I may just do like a pretty long ribbing. It might be better. So yeah, let's see. But yeah, I'm excited about this one. Alright, next, so this is the first project that I brought with me on the trip, but it's not what I knitted on the flights, because I was scared that the bigger, longer needles would get confiscated. And I think previously I've always traveled with sock projects with my small circulars and I've never had issues, so I thought I will bring a sock for the plane ride. And I don't know if I like them. I shared basically last time, I think they were at this stage. This is my second sock. And it's a sock with little flowers like this. So they're made with lace and some elongated stitches to make the little stem. And I think I need to block it because it's difficult to understand if the flower definition is nice enough. I think that when it's stretched, I don't know if I like it. And I think it may also have to do with the color and or the yarn. This is not really typically in my preferred colors. I typically gravitate more towards pinks and greens and rusty colors, browns, neutrals. So this yellow is a bit outside of my comfort zone. I thought that I would like it, but now I'm not so sure. But I made the whole sock and this because I couldn't be without knitting on the flights. So yeah, I'm a bit unsure, so this may sleep for a while until I decide. Maybe I just need to pick another yarn. I don't know. Also, I think maybe I got frustrated at this project because I had to restart some parts. Like, I had to restart often, essentially. Just because I was doing stupid mistakes, probably because I was on vacation mode and so my brain was just off. So basically, I don't even remember, but I had to like rip back the whole heel section like 3 times because one time I forgot to do decreases in my lace, so I had too many stitches, and another time I think I went from memory from a pattern that I have written but like months ago, and that was not a good idea. Because I did not remember how to work this heel from memory. So yeah, stupid mistakes like that. And then I didn't actually bind off because I was trying a fun little edge, but it wasn't working out as I had envisioned. So still undecided about this. The yarn is lovely. I'm just not sure about the color anymore, but this is completely my fault. I chose this color. It's the Ivy Fibre Co. Meadow, I believe. So yeah, this one is probably gonna go sleep for a while I figure out if I want to keep working on it or not. And then the other thing that I did not work on while I was away, but that I think I made some progress since the last time I showed it to you, is the little dinosaur sweater for my still unborn nephew. This is what it looks like. I think last time I had made the front panel. Now I have also the back. So it looks like this. And I think I realized when I was done with both the front and the back that I used a smaller needle than recommended, and so it is a bit smaller than the smallest size, because I did the smallest size but on smaller needles, so maybe it's gonna be too small. I don't know. I'm not familiar with how the size of babies. I think the body is fine. My concern is that if he's born this summer and he'll wear it probably when he's like 6 months. I don't know, especially the collar doesn't feel very big. I don't know, you can tell me if you think he's gonna fit in this. It also depends how big he's gonna be, right? Let's see. But yeah, I think it is looking very cute. I can't wait to put on the sleeves to continue the tail and do the little scallopy things that I still haven't learned a name for. Okay, before I talk about acquisitions, I mean, I already have, but I'm going to be inserting this here because I completely forgot to talk about the most exciting thing. And it was in the bag this whole time. So when I turned off the camera and looked around, I was like, ah, I forgot the most exciting thing. Which is this bag. It's beautiful. So this is the work of Natasha of, I don't know if it's in the focus, Unikat, London. I'll put her Instagram here. Please go check her out because she makes beautiful project bags like this that she hand embroiders and sews. And basically I have been following her after I found out about her work from Inga of Knitting Traditions, who was talking about her bags, and at some point she posted this bag along with a few others, and I was like, oh my gosh, like it's so pretty. I don't think I've ever seen a project bag quite like this. Like the work involved is quite extensive, I think, because I think she embroiders this fabric first and then she sews everything together, so like this is embroidered before, and it's like a very nice thick canvas material. But yeah, I think just like the embroidery with the like oval shape like this sewn, I've never seen this before and I thought it was gorgeous. And since she's in the UK, I wasn't sure if I could order from there because of the restrictions that I talked about previously, and so I didn't order anything, but I liked her story or post or something like that, and then she reached out to me saying like, oh, I saw that you like this, and she even said that one of the bags she embroidered, she was inspired by one of my colorwork socks that I knit, so I thought that was very sweet. And then she offered to send me this bag, which is incredibly generous of her. And yeah, I haven't, oh, I forgot to mention actually that the yarn for my Fiorita Socks, it was yarn support, so Lorna of Thread and Yarn provided the yarn for me, which is very nice. As a beginner knitwear designer, when you get yarn support, it's very helpful because yarn can be expensive, and so to get that sponsored it's very, very generous, very, very helpful. So the yarn for the pattern was provided to me, but I would buy it again in a heartbeat. It's a very, very nice yarn. I think I mentioned it in my last podcast episode, but it blooms very well. I just don't know yet how it will wear, but I'm very excited to find out. But yeah, so that yarn was provided, and also the one for the Orma Cardigan, so the sauna by Wool Dreamers. Wool Dreamers provided me with this sweater quantity, but again, this is a yarn that I would buy myself. I had actually like one ball in stash from before for making tests, which is why I decided to choose it. And yeah, and now, so yeah, I just wanted to say a quick word because I know that in knitting podcasts or just on the internet in general, we are often like bombarded with a lot of, you know, sponsored stuff and all these things, and I do get sometimes some like collaboration proposals, and 99% of the time I say no to them because most of the time it's from companies whose values don't align with mine. So I say no, but then when some people whose work I really admire want to send me things, I mean, I honestly feel very bad. But just because I think that their work should be, how do you say, they should be paid for their work. So yeah, I always feel bad when they're offering, but at the same time, I think if I can share it here and you can discover a new small, most often women-owned company or small business, then I'm super happy to share that. So anyways, that was a weird way to say that. Natasha very kindly sent me this and I am very grateful. And it's a beautiful bag that I will cherish and that I will definitely use for my sock projects. So thank you, Natasha. And then I guess the last part of this video will be an acquisition section. I don't often have acquisitions in my podcast episodes just because I don't see the point of it. I prefer to talk about yarns when I've actually used them. But since I bought a few things while I was away, I thought I would show them to you. And it's not just yarn, so yeah. And if you don't like acquisition sections, then I guess I will talk to you next time. Bye bye. But if you want to stay for the acquisitions, I basically bought yarn when I was in Japan, so I already show you this cotton. I went to the Daruma store. Does it focus? But this store in Tokyo. And when I went, of course, I was very overwhelmed. I did not know what to buy, but I fell in love with this color. And I mean, you can probably see a trend. It's almost the same as this one. But this is a summer yarn. It's a mix of linen, ramie, and cotton. It's a fingering weight. It's, I would say, in weight very similar to Knitting for Olive, all of their like fingering weights. And I like to work with those yarns, so I thought I would like to work with this one. This is very soft, and yeah, I think I bought enough to make a tank top, so this might become a design for next summer. And then at the same store, no, that's not true. At that store, I only bought that. And then we went to Walnut Tokyo. So they have one in Tokyo and one in Kyoto. I went to both. The one in Tokyo, I went there and I bought some sock yarn. So they have this, basically that's their own yarn line. It's the Amirisu. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but this one. The base is Paradise, and it's a mix of 60% wool, 20% cotton, 10% silk, and 10% linen. So I thought it was quite interesting, and I don't know if, because they have, I also bought their sock knitting club book. So it's a book with patterns. These are the patterns that are featured in the book, and some of them are worked with this yarn, so I thought, ooh, this is exciting. A sock yarn that, you know, a composition that I've never worked with. And I bought this assuming that it would be superwash, but it doesn't say on the label. So then after I bought this, I emailed the company to know, and it's actually non-superwash. So it's quite interesting. I am very excited about this find and also about this book. It's there's a lot of Japanese designers, but there's also a pattern, I think, by Sari Nordlund, another one, there is some by Yuka, Paula Pereira, and a few other designers. And show you the one that I really like. I don't have red yarn, but I think this is a genius pattern. It's the Tokyo Tower in a sock. Very cute. And the patterns are written both in Japanese and in English. So yeah, it's very nice. And I think that the next store that I went to, they were saying that this book is sold out everywhere, so I guess I got really lucky with securing a copy. But yeah, so I bought these 2 colors of that sock yarn. So again, this color that I think we can safe to assume that I have a new color obsession. Yeah, this one and I'm losing my words. Light purple. Help. I forget the word. This one. So I got these 2 and I think they look nice together. They could become something together, but I'm not sure yet. Let's see. And then I also bought, so from that same store, but in Kyoto. So I went again because I was thinking about this yarn and this yarn that I didn't buy previously. So I went back for these. And this is the cotton yarn, and this one is the same brand, the Amirisu, as the Flutter. This one is 65% baby suri alpaca, 18% silk, and 17% merino. So it's like a pretty thick suri silk, and it's very fluffy. I don't know if you see. It's very nice, and this one I do have already a project for it in mind. Basically, I'll talk about it maybe a bit more when it's at a later stage in the process, but I was looking for a yarn like this for a colorwork sweater, potential sweater project. So yeah. Hopefully I can get to swatch with this soon and show you. And I think that's it for the yarny acquisitions. And then my husband he likes to cook. He's much better at it than me. And so while I was looking at yarn, he wanted to go to buy a Japanese knife for the kitchen. And while we were there, I spotted these. And I have been wanting these little snips for threads for a long time, but I just never bought some, and so I thought it was a perfect opportunity. They're very nice quality. Because they had a lot on display, so I was like in the store testing them all. I thought these were the smoothest, and then when the shop owner, he was like a very old man, I don't know how old, but I was surprised that he was still working. He was very, very sweet, and he like hand engraved something on my husband's knife, and then so it took him quite a long time to do all of this, and then so meanwhile I was choosing my little scissors like this, and then when I gave them to him, I thought I had picked the perfect ones. They're amazing. And then he did like this, and he was like, no, this is not a good sound. So he went in the back, and I don't know what he did exactly, but he made them even better. And so yeah, it's quite dangerous. I don't know if I trust myself with this, but I'm very happy I got them. They're very cool. And then of course we had to also stop by a few ceramic shops. There's a lot of them because we spent a lot of time in Tokyo and Kyoto, and then we went to a few other places before and after. But yeah, we spent most of our time there, so I bought this one in Kyoto. It's like a little flower. I really like this one. And this one was more like, it was in a more traditional shop, I guess you could say, like versus a very touristy shop that there are a lot of, and that we did shop at also. Where I found this one that was like €1. I mean, I couldn't pass it. Little flower, very cute. And I think that's, oh no, that's not it for the Japan haul. I also went to a few fabric stores, and so basically in Tokyo they have the Nippori fabric district, or fabric town, fabric street, I don't know exactly how to call it, but I did a bit of research before going because yeah, I saw a few videos on YouTube, people going, because apparently there's like, I think someone said 90 fabric stores on that street. I didn't see that many, we went only to a few. But yeah, I went there prepared, and I had a budget. I think I had like a €200 equivalent budget, but I ended up spending less than half of that because I was overwhelmed. And we also arrived like closer than I thought to closing time, so anyways, it was a bit of a chaotic moment, but I did manage to buy a few fabrics. So the first one that I grabbed is this one, and I was also looking, because they have fabric from all over, but I was looking for Japanese fabrics, and it was a bit more difficult, I guess, to find, but I did find these three that I think anyways are Japanese. So this one is, if I remember correctly, a cotton and linen blend with some little embroidered blue flowers. And typically I'm not a blue person, but I don't know, I fell in love with this one. So this came home with me. I think I will make some sort of blouse with it. Then this one I think is a Japanese cotton, and it's like a broderie en glace, like this. It's very cute. This one I think I'm going to make a skirt with. It's blowing up. Struggling with the light. Yeah, I think you can see it like that. It's very pretty. And then the other one is a bit more boring, but it was a very, very good price, and I liked the color, so I bought this. It said, or we think it said on the label, that it was a linen, because in that store everything was written in Japanese, so we used the Google Translator with the camera, but it was written by hand, so I don't know if it gave me the right thing, but it said it's a linen. I would say it feels more like a cotton, but I don't know. It's a very lightweight fabric, and yeah, I like the color, so I got some of that. And I think I have enough to make a dress. Otherwise, it's going to be a top. So that's it for the Japan side of things. And then in Bali, we splurged a little bit on wood carving stuff. We went to visit a wood carving art gallery, and basically over there they have very, very nice wood in general. Like everything, like all the chairs in the restaurants, and I mean the fancier restaurants, like for tourists basically. But all of those restaurants had like beautiful wooden chairs, and the wood there is amazing, and so we wanted to go visit this art gallery, so we bought a few things. First thing is this little flower. It's made to put a candle, so I'm gonna have to buy like a candle, like a spherical shape like this. The other thing I bought this little box that I'll probably put some notions inside. It's a darker wood. And then we got this one. We were very torn. It was difficult to make a decision because everything was beautiful and we didn't have tons of luggage space. So we got this for the wall. I think it's supposed to go like this. But yeah, I wish we would have had space to buy like either a bigger one to put somewhere or like many different little ones like that. But yeah, it's very nice. We didn't buy the ones that are the most like extra, like some of them are like very like much more detailed than this, but yeah. And I got this one because there was a lot of flowers like this, like everything in wood there is carved with flowers, or even the stones are carved with flowers that look like this. And it was very inspiring. I have a lot of different ideas now for designs with flowers, which is not surprising for me, but yeah, I had to bring home at least one like this as a souvenir. And I think that's it for this episode. I hope it wasn't too long. I don't see how long I talked for, but yeah, I am happy to be back, and as I said, my head is exploding with ideas for new designs that I hope I can bring to light very soon and share with you. So I hope that you are well and that you spent this time with me knitting on something that you are enjoying. And yeah, I will talk to you next time. Bye bye.
이거 지금 계획.